Hey everyone, it's Tara here. I am participating in a daily challenge put on by one of my male friends, Stephanie. She is over on Instagram, and I'll go ahead and link her in the description below. It's a kind of a collage challenge. It's called Cut Paste July, and she's come up with a prompt for every day of the month for July. So I'll be doing that. I've been doing that every day so far. And this first prompt for July 1st was Sunburst. So I am using some yellows and these the bright yellow that I have there. That's that Spectra airbrush liquid stuff. I'm gonna put some orange in there too. So kind of just see some summery, yellowy, sunny colors. And then I decided to just rip up strips of paper and kind of do like sun strips, sun rays. I don't know what you want to call it. But I just grabbed some random pieces of paper out of my stash and ripped them up using some blues, greens, blacks to kind of even it out. And I'm going to lay it all down with that Mod Podge and just crisscross them and do all that and just glue them down. And then the journal I'm using is actually one that was sent to me by another male friend of mine. Her name is Billy Joe, and she's also on the Instagram, so I'll link her below too. It's a handmade journal. She stitched up the sides. She does like stitching in her mail art and stuff, and it's pretty amazing. So I've been holding onto this journal forever, and now I finally have a use for it. I'm really excited about that. To top off the Sunburst prompt, I'm just putting a circle down from a security envelope pattern. I didn't really like the way that all the papers were together, so I wanted to kind of cover up the middle of it there, and then it kind of looks more like a sun. So pretty little interpretation of that prompt, but I really like how it turned out. The next day prompt for day number 2 is architecture, and so for here I just started laying down some purple paint on my pages here, and I didn't really know where I was going with this, and most of the days I don't know what I'm doing. I usually just end up going through all of my paper stash and picking out images that might relate to the prompt and trying to work from there. I wanted to kind of go from like a little bit of a gradient almost for the purple. So on the inside it was a lighter purple, and then the bright purple, and then a darker purple on the outside. But all the purples just kind of looked the same. So that was kind of weird. And then I used a spray to add a little splatter to the page. And then I dabbed it down with a paper towel because I didn't want to wait for it to dry. And then I was deciding, I kind of was thinking I would do kind of like a drawing of sorts for a city skyline for this. So I started, I don't know why I used the credit card, but that's what I did. And I just made like little shapes of buildings, and then to add lights, I was going to add that yellow paint with a little splatter from the paintbrush. And then I picked out a few pictures of buildings and stuff that I liked from my stash, and I cut those out. And I ended up covering up pretty much the whole thing I did with the paint there in the black, the city skyline thing. It is what it is, especially with this journal. The pages are a little bit smaller, so all the images I have, like I've mentioned before, are fairly large. So when I'm working on smaller spaces, they tend to fill up the entire area. So I do the backgrounds and stuff, and I usually end up covering it up. You don't really see pretty much anything I'm doing. So, but it just, I like that to know that it's there even though I'm covering it up. And then I just kind of fiddle around with the placement here and start gluing stuff down where I know I want it. For the first building that I laid down, I wanted to kind of do patterned papers on alternating sides of the building, so it kind of looked a little bit different. So I did that, and I laid down the pieces there and glued them on top of that, and that way you can kind of tell it's still a building with the other side, but then you have like little patterned papers for the opposite sides. So I like the way that turned out. And then I have the house here, cut out some circles with some different pieces of paper, security envelopes and maps and stuff, and I just lay those down and fiddle around with the placement. And I'm using Zots, I think they're called Zots, little sticky glue dots to put the circles down. I figured that was a little bit easier than gluing it, because gluing little circles is kind of one of the most annoying things to do, and I usually end up doing it on my hand, and then my hands get all sticky, and I really hate that. So And then I kind of wanted a little bit of contrast behind the house there. So I have a little piece of paper that has some handwriting on it. I'm going to lay that down behind it and kind of give it, so you can kind of see it from kind of popping off the paper a little bit. And then I have the city skyline to lay down at the bottom there. And then I also have a piece of like purple paper with a scallop edge cut out to lay on top of that. So lots of little layers here, and I really like the buildings and kind of the black against the purple, the gray and the black against the purple. So I really like how this one turned out a lot. The next prompt I have is street art. That's day number 3. I don't really have a lot of images related to street art. Well, I didn't think I did. I was kind of really intimidated by this prompt. I really didn't know what I was going to do. And then I started looking through my stash and I came across a lot of cool different images that aren't necessarily street art, but you know, they kind of give that vibe off to me at least. So I just put a little black paint down. The really great thing about this journal is that it's made with like a bunch of different types of paper. So some of the papers already have images or text on it, so it doesn't really need to be covered up that much in order to do my collages here. And that paper I just cut up, the image, I was really happy to find this one because I think it's really cool looking, and it's of like a bunch of buildings that are like painted all colorful and stuff. So I'm just laying down a bunch of different layers and putting my main focus images on top of them. And I think this is kind of my favorite page so far from what I've done. I just really love all the colors and really just the busyness of it. And I'm really happy I got to use these things that another pen pal sent me. That's my name in like graffiti style lettering. So I really like how this one turned out. And it's probably my favorite of the bunch. But yeah, those are the first 3 prompts. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!